everybody. Thank you for coming out and welcome to Golden Mike. Woo, yeah, that was good energy right there. So this is an open mic for stand-up and music, and if there's something else interesting, we will have that up here as well. Just so you know, this is being recorded. It will be posted on YouTube at KP Pictures YouTube page. KP is the person behind the camera right there and the person who runs the studio space. So if we could all just say thanks, KP, real quick. Woo! and thank you all for being here. This is happening every Saturday night, and it is currently totally free. And look at that, we feeding you too some of this pizza and other carby, sugary drinks and stuff. So please eat that and be healthy. It's a contradiction. Anyways, okay, so tonight, anything else I need to mention? If you need to play music, we obviously have the Bluetooth speaker you can attach your phone or whatever device to play from and play whatever song you need to. For the stand-ups, you'll be given about 5 minutes, and at 4 minutes, I'll give you the light. And you know the deal, close up when you can. I'm not going to really cut you guys off, though. I'll let you go a little longer. For songs, you'll do one song at a time, and then if we cycle through and you want to do another song, we'll put you back up. Any other questions or any thoughts? Otherwise, we're just going to go down the list from who signed up, right? Okay, cool. And we had first on the list was Patrick Ramirez. Let's get a hand for Patrick Ramirez. Woo! I'm just going to let you use that mic right there. Yeah, perfect.
All right, thank you guys. How are you? First, I want to thank the studio here for putting my apartment as the backdrop today. I'm subletting, so nobody say anything. I've lived here, I'm new to LA. I've lived here 9 years. Still figuring it out. I don't know if you're like me. You have friends back home who are very curious about Los Angeles. It's an interesting place to live. They're very curious, like, what goes on there? The biggest question I get is if people ask me if I'm worried about earthquakes. And I live in a big apartment building, so people ask me, Pat, are you worried about earthquakes? And at first I was. And then after a while I was like, no, I'm not worried at all. My neighbors watch soccer. I'm fine. I've made it through 2 World Cups. I think I'll be all right. My neighbors are Ecuadorian, and they love soccer. So, a few weeks ago, I heard them cheering, going crazy. And I was like, hey, I saw them the next day. I say, hey, I heard you guys last night cheering. Hey, Ecuador, they must be doing pretty good. And they're like, oh, Ecuador's not playing. We hate the Dutch. I'm like, all right. My apartment building is really big. So, last time I felt an earthquake, I didn't even think it was an earthquake. I just thought my neighbors were fighting. You're like, was that a 4.0? Did someone lose their job? I'll watch the news. It'll be on both. People will say this about Los Angeles. They will complain about how it's so hard to date in Los Angeles. Like, I think we're all a little tired of that statement by now. People say, like, it's so hard to date in Los Angeles. It's so hard to date in L.A. And look, well, let me tell you guys this. I have lived in 4 different cities in my life, and you know what? I've said it about every single city I've lived in. I don't know if you've ever done that, blamed your bad dating on geography. Like, oh, St. Louis, it's a commuter town. Nobody can date and commute. Oh, Denver, that's high altitude. That really affects the dating. I am this close from blaming my bad dating on daylight savings time. People are leaving LA too, I've noticed. That's a weird thing that I've gotten to experience. People are leaving Los Angeles, and I've thought about it too, and people will ask me, will you stay? Will you go? I'm like, and then I looked into leaving. Have you ever looked into what it costs to actually move somewhere? It's so ironic. I saved up money to move here. Now I can't afford to leave. People are like, you sticking around, chase those goals and dreams? Like, no, U-Haul requires a deposit. I have to stay. I called my mom last week. I was like, Mom, I made it in this town. She's like, you did? Yeah, I got a part-time job. I'm going to stick it out. I got 5 more years in me. It's a tricky town. I've lived in a lot of places too. I've lived in nice areas of the city. I've lived in rough parts of the city too. No matter where you live, you always adapt. You always get used to your environment. And I've realized this, you live in a rough part of town when you start using crimes as landmarks. Someone's like, where's the grocery store at? All right, you see that car's on fire? Go 2 more blocks. When you hear glass breaking, just take a left. You'll see it. It's like, how far do I go? Just keep going until you get scared. You'll see it. You'll be all right. I quit drinking 5 years from now. Yeah. I mean, anybody can just quit. I have a whole plan. Drinking is the weirdest thing. We have such weird reactions to drinking. Have you ever heard someone say to a crowd that they're sober? They're like, I quit drinking. And everybody will applaud and go, good job, great job. Then you can say to that exact same crowd, hey, who's drinking tonight? Exact same reaction. It's like rooting for both teams. We do the same thing with drugs too. You ever heard someone say, I'm clean and sober, 10 years. And everybody will go, good job, way to go, one day at a time. You're on the right path. And then someone will say, I've never touched a drug in my life. And we'll all go, pussy. Have this weird reaction to it. I've had a lot of jobs too. I've had, I have a new job. I'm self-employed, which is really good. Great thing about being self-employed, if it doesn't go well, you just tell everybody you work at a nonprofit. You're like, hey, you still down at the nonprofit? Yep, they're going to keep me down there. They need me. I'm doing the Lord's work down there. I give myself phony titles too. I'm like, yep, they just promoted me. I'm now the director of internal struggles. I've had a lot of jobs. I've moved around a lot too. It's crazy. It's really crazy with the jobs. I don't make a lot of money, but I still love what I do. But it's very hard to be a comedian these days. Very hard. I was talking with a girl recently, and we were having a great conversation, and I thought in my head, oh, I'm going to ask this girl out on a date. And she goes, what do you do? I said, oh, I'm a comedian. She goes, oh, no, I don't think I could ever date anyone who makes their living as a comedian. I said, oh, yeah? Well, the joke's on you, because I don't make a living at it. Who's dumb now? I'm 2 years away from being 2 years away from something, baby. All right, thank you, guys. I'm Patrick. You guys have a good night.
Oh, thank you. Wow, man, that was awesome. Thanks, Patrick. Can we give one more round of applause for Patrick?